You are on the Frenzy feed.
The Professor Frenzy Show!
Professor Frenzy, it's a show. Professor Frenzy Show. Professor Frenzy, it's a show. Professor Frenzy Show.
Hello. Welcome to the Professor Frenzy Show, episode 378. My name is Jerry.
And I'm Chris.
And we are your hosts.
On the Professor Frenzy Show, we are going to try to spotlight some smaller publishers' comics that we think deserve some attention. We aren't going to rate or score comics. We aren't really even going to be reviewing comics. We are just going to talk about some that we think people should consider reading.
So, Chris, did you read any good comics this week?
Well, yes, Professor. As a matter of fact, I did.
Ooh, me too. We just wanted to mention something to folks that we have been, you probably have noticed, longtime listeners of the show, that we've been breaking up our episodes. It turns out I was going on vacation in September, and we broke up our last full episode into shorter episodes that we released over the course of September. And it turns out that those shorter episodes got more traction than the long ones. So we're going to try to see if we can break the episodes up and see how they perform. We got much more traffic than releasing everything in one show. So we're going to tweak our approach for a little while and see how it goes. That way you can more easily find the segments you want to listen to or watch, particularly on YouTube. So let us know what you think about it. And we're definitely interested in seeing your experience with this.
Thanks, Prof, and welcome back.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice to have you back.
Yeah, I was in Ireland. Yeah.
Wow.
It was great. We had a great week.
Weather good?
Oh, yeah, it rained. So, yeah, exactly what we expected.
And I hope the food was good?
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, they have really good food there.
Awesome. Well, it's nice to have you back. Listeners,
Nice to be
thank
back.
you for joining us. We're going to dive right into a few mutual reads. We'll start off with a title we both really enjoyed. It's called Something is Killing the Children. We're up to issue number 44. This is from Boom Studios. It's priced at $4.99. It's a book for a teen, 13-plus audience. And we have a book written by James Tynion IV. Thank you, Professor Allen. Art done by Werther, Dell'Edera, and Miquel Muerto. Prof, I've been waiting to say this for a long time. Please take the floor, describe the contents, and then we will pick it apart.
All right. So we see Aaron, and he inquires about missing files from the Valmont Mountain House massacre of several years ago. He's refused access to the files until Adelaide arrives. Now, Adelaide is missing limbs and is in a wheelchair and gets him access. But of course, the dragon needs to be informed about his access to restricted files. Cecilia and Gary Slaughter are on a plane, presumably to the Mountain House, where Jessica and little Erica are hunting monsters. We get a flashback to when Jessica was young, and young Jessica and young Cecilia are climbing the mountain in the snow, led by Adelaide, who at this time has all her limbs, and they do find a monster. Well, so this issue is a little bit of a slow burn. We get hints and teases about what may have happened at the Mountain House in the past. We know some tragic things did happen, but not exactly what yet. We see that, Cecilia and Jessica and especially Adelaide, who's injured, presumably she was injured in this event, that they're all scarred by this monster attack. So we've been getting hints that someone, probably Jessica, isn't going to make it through this latest Valmont Mountain House situation, leaving Erica to grow up to be the monster killer that we know that she turns into. There are a lot of pages devoted to Aaron kind of navigating the House of Slaughter's bureaucracy to get access to the files, and I'm wondering if that's going to come into play later. We're getting a look at a lot of different characters, both in the past and in the present and in the, and we know what's going to happen in the future with Erica. There seems to be more to the story than we're being told so far. This is really great storytelling as Tynion is kind of teasing us with the situation. And I also like how the flashback pages are done in the art. It's done with kind of a cruder hand, with definitely a different color palette. It's very impressive work. So, Chris, what did you think about Something is Killing the Children, number 44?
Thanks, Prof. First off, I want to applaud your comments. I thought they were all spot on and concise. I really don't have much more to put on top of it other to accentuate everything that you stated. This issue is a slow burn with a capital S, indeed. I'm accustomed to finding the center page spread with the Something is Killing the Children title bar a little more sooner than typically that we've seen it here. I think this comes up on page 11. And wow, this is really, really stuff I didn't expect, especially with the pivot to Aaron trying to navigate the House of Slaughter's bureaucracy, as you stated. And I don't know why it was there. It almost seemed a little superfluous that this is kind of going on and dragging a little bit. And I'm wondering what is happening here with respect to this. Why do we need so many pages devoted to Aaron trying to get to the bottom of these documents, and what's his curiosity on this? Flip it to the other side. I didn't expect to see young Jessica and Cecilia and their little trek with respect to the mountains. I thought we were going to be immersed in the narrative and progress, but this issue really took a giant step backwards, in my opinion, with all this other stuff. This was indeed a slow burn for this title. Am I used to slow burns and Something is Killing the Children? Absolutely, but not so much to this degree. Was the artwork mesmerizing as per usual? Totally down with it, yes. But I'm just wondering if there's a little more with the pieces in play here, and are we being set up for something a little bit more broader in scope? I would hope so, with all the time that we've invested with it with respect to the art and the writing. I just don't have much more to say. If you're looking for some of the gruesomeness and some of that big horror payoff, you're not going to find it here. This is just more or less a bridge from one chapter to the next, in my opinion, and I'm still on board, and I trust the creative team to get me through it.
Yeah, I agree. I think there were several pages of Aaron like shaving and getting a shower. And I think that whole sequence, the key was to present us with Adelaide, to kind of introduce her as a kind of this broken character so that they can reintroduce her later in the flashback where she's put together. So she's another victim, presumably, of this monster attack. But I think that also parallels the Aaron kind of getting dressed and getting ready, also parallels Jessica. There's a couple of pages of Jessica, brushing her teeth and doing things similar to what Aaron was doing. So I was thinking that there may be some kind of a parallel there, but I thematically, I didn't get why, this linkage between Jessica and Aaron was there. So we'll see. Like you said, we'll see how they tie all this together in future issues.
Thank you, Prof. Good catch there. I didn't catch the things with the characters grooming and getting ready, but nice little observation there. I'll have to maybe take another pass at that. Our thoughts and impressions on Something is Killing the Children. This was issue number 44 from Boom Studios, once again priced at $4.99, and a book for a teen 13 plus audience.
Oh, yeah.
Next up, we also looked at The Invisible Man, issue number 2. This is from the Universal Monsters imprint from Image Comics. It was priced at $4.99 from Image Comics, rated teen plus. Prof, an interesting first chapter. I'm going to try not to get ahead of myself. Please take the floor, describe the contents, and then I will visit you in just a moment.
All right. So Jack Griffin, the scientist secretly studying invisibility, is dating his boss's daughter, Flora, unbeknownst to her father. Kind of. He has hints, but he doesn't know for sure. Jack's lab mate, Arthur, is also working on a separate project, and one that needs a chimpanzee. Jack has been trying and mostly failing to get the invisibility formula right. He got it right one time with a cat, and there are rumors in town about an invisible cat and like fish walking down alleyways all alone. Really funny, you imagine this invisible cat has a fish in his mouth. So Jack coaxes the invisible cat to kill the chimp, much to Arthur's dismay. And Arthur blames Jack, correctly as it turns out. So that's kind of the plot as we've gone along. I like the approach to the story. The love affair between Jack and Flora really kind of helped set the tone for the action part of the story. We're getting a lot of the background information about the, relationship between the scientists through Jack and Flora discussing them. And we get how both Jack and Arthur are competing for attention from their boss, Dr. Cranley, Flora's dad. The chimp in the lab was an imposition by Arthur to Jack. He kind of knew that this was going to be, get in Jack's craw. And the killing of the chimp was Jack's reply. the thing about this is that the relationship between Jack and Flora seems to me to be kind of a plot device to expose the situation between the scientists. I'm not really feeling Jack's attachment to Flora. He's kind of aloof around her and thinking about his, work more than his relationship. But it seems kind of right for the time period where, a man isn't going to be all gaga in love, especially a man scientist. This is a good book. I'm still enjoying it. I wish some of the connections were a little stronger between the characters, but I think we have time to work on that. Chris, what did you think about The Invisible Man, number 2?
Thanks, Prof. I enjoyed your comments. Really good stuff there. Prof, when I signed up for this, I knew I was going to trust the creative team, but I did have some qualms, particularly with James Tynion IV's writing. I thought this was going to be something of a slow burn. Again, 2 issues in a row here, and something we previously talked about with Something is Killing the Children. Here's another book with a slow burn. Here we are at issue 2, and I was wondering, before I picked this up, I was asking myself, are we going to actually see the quote-unquote Invisible Man happen? And I was going to lay odds that we probably weren't, knowing that James Tynion IV, thank you for press, Alan, was writing this book. And I'm thinking, okay, that said, going into it, I read it, I said, aha, no Invisible Man, but am I still trusting the creative team? I am, to an extent, though, but this is a limited series, and I think we have to kind of get the ball rolling a little bit more further on this. Mm-hmm. We got a lot of great character development with Jack. We've got a lot of smart, crisp writing between Jack and Flora, which really is nice because this is something I didn't expect when I was going to pick up the series, with how invested I would be with a Flora character. Boy, she is so sympathetic and she is so earnest and she tries so hard. And just the way she's depicted in this Tim Sale-esque turn of the century kind of look, pastoral, you really, really feel for this character. Once again, we had a great line while they're out trotting along the city and she's going to say, hey, are you going to spend the night in the lab again? And she says, yeah, I'm going to spend the night in the lab again. And she just earnestly says to him, oh, Jack, I wish you could kiss me here on the spot. I wish nobody could see us. And I like how telling that is, the little double entendre with respect to the invisibility bit. This is 2 issues in a row where they got a real classic line, and I really love how this is delivered and executed. Prof, before I forget, I want to give a shout out to Brad Simpson, the colorist, as I alluded to. We had some nice pastoral colors here. Becca Carey, again with the letterings, because we got this nice block lettering style with respect to the inner thought boxes that are throughout this. Dani's artwork, I said it before, I'll say it again, kind of reminds me of Tim Sale. Not saying this in a pejorative and not saying that it's a direct copy. It's unique in and of itself. And I really, really love the line work here with respect to some of the scenes, some of the depictions of the animals, and some of the rain scenes, creating the effect of the illusion of the invisibility. Really, really good stuff here. I love that we also will have these smash cuts every now and then of what Jack is thinking and what he wants to do, exacting his revenge to his quote-unquote tormentors going on through this. This is a great series. I am getting my money's worth, but that said, I think we kind of I want to ramp it up a little bit. But I know James Tynion, the 4th book, this is going to be the pace. He's going to tell his story at his own pacing, and I'll have to kind of settle in with respect to that. I am enjoying it, but I'm just trying to compare and contrast on how I'm liking it as opposed to, say, The Mummy, which I really was blown away with. And I think how much was told after 2 issues of The Mummy and how much was told after 2 issues of The Invisible Man. It's a hard thing to do, and maybe it's not fair for me to compare and contrast that way. Nonetheless, don't get me wrong, listeners, I am totally on board with this series. I'm totally engaged with it, but just know that if you're picking this up and looking for The Invisible Man, know James Tynion's writing style and know what you're getting into before diving right in. We are going to get our eventual payoff. It's still playing itself out right now.
Yeah, a little bit of second issue-itis, maybe.
Yes. Indeed. Why didn't I think of that?
Yeah, right. But that was a great catch with the, I wish, you could kiss me with nobody seeing, as a reference to his later invisibility. Great catch.
Yeah, and there's another scene, too, where they're sneaking a kiss, but they're hiding it off to the side where nobody can see them. I thought there's a little bit of nice little kernels and nuggets here that are really making this book something special. And I want listeners to say, I am enjoying this book, but just kind of come in at it a different way if you're looking for something specific.
I agree.
Okay, our thoughts and impressions on The Invisible Man. This was issue number 2. It's under the Universal Monsters imprint from Image Comics, priced at $4.99, and a book for a teen-plus audience.
Great.
Well, Prof, next up, we both looked at the, quote, official comic book of Halloween. I don't know how season after season Archie Comics pulls this off, but they are able to nail it. We are looking at a one-shot called Archie's Halloween Spectacular. We had a whole myriad of stories credited to Dan Parent, Francis Bonnet, Frank Doyle, and Bob Bolling. With the writing, for the pencils, we had Dan Parent, Rex Lindsey, Bob Bolling, and Harry Lucey, my all-time favorite Archie artist. Inks done by Bob Smith, Rex Lindsey, and Terry Szenics. Prof, you've got a monumental task ahead of you trying to describe the contents of this book. I doff my cap to you already in advance. Please take the floor, tell us what's in here, and then we will pick it apart.
Well, it was a labor of love. I absolutely love Archie Halloween comic books. And I think the way that they get the designation of the official comic book of Halloween is that they print it on the cover. Turns out that's all you got to do. It says the official comic book of Halloween, and there you have it. And that works for me because I just love Archie Halloween stuff. So the first story is Trick or Trick. Dilton has invented a monster makeover transformer ray gun to impress Tony Topaz. Tony and her friends decide to use the ray to zap Archie and the gang, but mistakenly get zapped by the ray gun themselves and turn into monsters. These monsters find Archie and the gang, and Dilton says he can reverse the ray, but sadly the reversal doesn't work, and Archie and the gang get monsterized too. Luckily, it's Halloween, so everyone now has great costumes, and luckily, the ray only lasts for a few hours, so they should be fine by morning. The next story is One Prank Too Far. There's a Halloween party at the haunted Igor estate. Sabrina sees the imps, Trick and Treat, floating around. They're pranksters, but they have a weird energy around them, and the pranks they pull turn out to be dangerous, which is not like them. Sabrina has to save Jughead from getting a refrigerator dropped on his head. Turns out the two imps are under a spell by Amber Nightstone. Sabrina undoes the spell, and Trick or Treat apologize to everyone and eat all the candy. The next story, That's the Spirit. Veronica is spending too much money on clothes and stuff, and Mr. Lodge tells her to get a job. Veronica turns an unused wing of their mansion into a shopping mall version of the Spirit of Halloween type store, but Mr. Lodge comes home and charges her rent. Oops. The next story, A Rough Halloween. The gang are trick-or-treating and bring their dogs along, all dressed up. Archie gets attention from a pretty lady for his dog, and Veronica and Betty, being jealous, dress their dogs up too. Dilton and Tony Topaz are watching a spooky movie, Critter Cemetery, which is kind of like Pet Cemetery, about zombie pets. Archie and the gang show up to the house with their dressed-up pets and freak Dilton and Tony out. The next one, It Goes to Show You. Veronica's dad bought a spooky abandoned house. She and Betty visit it and are waiting for Archie and Jughead to arrive, but they also suspect that they're already there and ready to spook them. They hear moaning and figure it's just the boys creeping them out. Archie and Jughead arrive and think the ghosts are Veronica and Betty pulling a prank. The four pretend not to be scared and leave. But the ghosts are upset that they couldn't scare them. Kids today. And next story, The Ghostess with the Mostess. Weasel Williams tells Archie that there's a plot to scare Archie and catch it on video for a TV show. He helps Jughead deliver newspapers, and one of the houses is a haunted house. Archie figures that this is where he's going to be scared. A TV crew is secretly filming Archie in the house, and a ghost invites him in. Archie doesn't act scared, which frustrates the film crew. Then the actor who's supposed to play the ghost shows up late because the laundry lost a sheet. But if Archie isn't with the fake ghost, who's the ghost with him? Turns out it's a real ghost. Everyone runs out of the house terrified. I love these stories. There's no muss, no fuss. The stories are completely predictable. They're not trying to blow your mind, but give you a comfortable and satisfying Halloween spooky experience. I love Archie comics, especially in Halloween, October time, and I thoroughly enjoyed this goofy issue. Chris, what did you think about Archie's Halloween Spectacular?
Thanks, Prof. How could you help but not like it?
I know.
It had a little something for everybody. If you really like the Archie cast, you had all the cast of characters here. You had 6 light stories for a great $4.99 price point. Perfect stuff. I didn't think the first story was anything of Nothing Burger. That had a little bit of meat of its bone, and it had some really, really creepy, far-out renditions of the cast transformed into these monsters. It was really, really fun stuff here. I don't know if I can necessarily pick a favorite. I like the Dan Parent story. That's the spirit where Veronica sort of has a little lesson about overspending. If I had to choose and if it forced me in a corner, I probably would say It Goes to Show You, because I'm a huge fan of Harry Lucey's artwork. I really like it. He's my all-time favorite Archie artist. It's nice to see a nice color reproduction of some of his artwork here. And I'm trying to wonder where it originally appeared, because I don't know if this was like in an Archie comic or maybe a Life with Archie per chance, but I don't know. At any rate, this had a little something for everybody. If you're a certain kind of fan, if you're a certain kind of age, and maybe this is somebody's first exposure, let's say Harry Lucey or some other artist, and they're kind of like digging with what's happening here. The stories were light. It had its moments, and I couldn't help but like this. This was a great, great comic, and I think it's for young and old alike. If you're a fan of Archie, you've got something here of a treasure.
I agree. I thought it was a treasure myself.
Any other thoughts and impressions, my friend?
Nope. Just can't. I wish they had Sabrina comic book back, because I really like that one.
Hear, hear. Our thoughts and impressions on Archie's Halloween Spectacular. This is a one-shot from Archie Comics, priced at $4.99 and a book for an all-ages audience.
So, Chris, what other books have you been reading?
Thanks, Prof. Well, while you were away, I looked at a few, and it was sort of hard to kind of call my list, and I didn't make this terribly long of a show. But here we go. First up, The Twilight Zone #1. Yes, The Twilight Zone #1 from IDW Dark. It was priced at $4.99. And for our writer, we had Dan Waters, and for our art, we had Morgan Beam. This story is called Blanks. Billionaire Edward Kane is looking for eternal life, as he has about a year left to live. He chartered a helicopter, and it lands on a desolate island comprised of scientists working on life-extending cellular drugs. Despite the risks, Kane submits himself to the regenerative process operation, and when he awakens, good news, the process works. The bad news, he's patient 0 in a mutation that's wiped out all the island occupants, erasing their faces. And now he must stay on this island to live forever. Or does he? Kane decides to fly back by helicopter to the populace, knowing that he'll be alive forever, but he's going to infect the rest of the world. Wow. My thoughts. I love how the ending sort of came to the fork in a road, if you will. I would have been more than satisfied if Kane subjected himself to this treatment, but he was stranded on the island, and it ended there. He could live forever, but he's stuck on the island. But no, he's off to be the contagion for the rest of the earth. Which ending would I have liked better? I don't know, but I like that we've sort of got a choose your path, if you will. My other thoughts and impressions. This is not the first incarnation of the Twilight Zone comic book. Those old enough to remember, Gold Key had it. And from a longevity standpoint, you could certainly say the comic book was almost more successful than the series itself. It ran well into the 1970s, at least a decade past, maybe a decade and a half past the TV show's original run. That's how I first encountered the Twilight Zone, actually, was by those Gold Key digests and the comic book itself, thinking, how can Gold Key still put out a comic book, even though there's no show of this on the air? Star Trek I could get. At least that was being rerun, but I digress. I have to say, I love how this comic book was done. It was in black and white. How perfect of a touch was that? And you might ask yourself, does Rod Serling appear in the comic? Well, yes and no. Now, I don't know if there was an issue due to the likeness licensing rights, but we do see someone smoking a cigarette in the opening pages, sitting in a lounge chair. But his head is obscured by an umbrella. I really enjoyed it. This is going to go on for at least 5 issues, and I thought this was a great opening issue to start with. The Twilight Zone #1 from IDW Dark, priced at $4.99, and a book for mature readers.
Terrific.
Also looked at Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Rite of Spring #3 from IDW Publishing, priced at $4.99, written and drawn by Patrick Horvath. In this one, Monica the Duck is in Woodbrook investigating the death of her brother. She also has a nightmare about Samantha the Bear, who, unbeknownst to her, indeed killed her brother. In a small town, Monica's investigating the local library and questioning the locals does not go unnoticed by Sam. Sam finds Monica, and the mental chess match begins with Sam leading Monica to a house on the edge of town where a previous victim lived, to be continued. My thoughts and impressions. While not with the active narrative, there were brutal and gory flashbacks to Samantha's prior graphic murders of some unnamed victims. But as if that's not enough, it's now also revealed via flashback that Samantha murdered her parents by poisoning them with cyanide during dinner before they were about to leave on a vacation trip. This really took the title to a whole nother level. We saw previously that Samantha had a compulsion to kill, but prior to this, her victims were mostly random. Now we see that she killed her parents, and by all accounts, they loved her and gave her a loving home. Why did she do this? If you combine what you saw and witnessed with the panels and the artwork, and you combine the narrative with this pastoral watercolor artwork and some seemingly friendly characters you'd find in a storybook, this makes it all the much more creepier. This title continuously tends to be all the more haunting. My thoughts and impressions on Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Rite of Spring #3 from IDW Publishing, priced at $4.99, and a book for mature readers.
Terrific.
And while we were away, I also looked at Sleep #5 from Image Comics, priced at $3.99 for mature audiences, and written and drawn by Xander Cannon. This is the title where John becomes a killing monster when he goes to sleep. When we last left him, he confided his secret with his friend Tabby, and she drove them to a less populated area. This issue opens with John waking up in a high school hallway and seeing all the destruction and devastation he caused during his last blackout. In the meantime, Tabby has researched and noted that a nearby mine has been recently sealed up, but perhaps it was due to an infection which got out, and perhaps it made John the monster. They agree that John will have to go to the mine and seal himself in, or at least try to keep himself contained. To be continued. Per my thoughts and impressions, this is another black and white book with touches of red here and there. The artwork is very moody and evocative. Some great stuff with the word balloons. Again, we the reader never see the monster, making this all the more creepy and all the more effective. This is a great comic book. My thoughts and impressions on Sleep #5 from Image Comics, priced at $3.99, and a book for mature readers.
Fantastic.
And finally, I'll wrap it up with some quick hits. Exquisite Corpses #5, $4.99 from Image Comics, written by Jordie Bellaire with James Tynion IV. Thank you, Professor Allen. Art done by Claire Rowe with Michael Walsh. This is the comic where the original 13 states have a serial killer, each representing them, duking it out in an oblivious small town for control of the United States and thus the world. Without spoiling it too much, two of the serial killers form a bond before one of them turns on the other. Shady car dealer Sam, who lost a hand in the previous issue, has now lost his head, and the fate of Larry Carolina still remains up in the air. Graphic violence combined with multiple subplots, and despite all this chaos, this still is an engrossing read for me. My thoughts and impressions on Exquisite Corpses #5 from Image Comics, $4.99 for mature readers. I took a flyer on something called Flow #1 from Mad Cave Studios. This was the first issue, priced at $4.99, written by Paula Sevenbergen, art done by Claudia Balboni. In this one, two adult women friends note that both of them are finding random bloodstains on their clothing and other personal items. Via flashback, we see that a decade earlier, they both teased and bullied a girl named Tara at a summer camp who had her first period and didn't know what she was going through. Tara lost her mother in a fire under suspicious circumstances, and she was homeschooled by her dad, who didn't have the, quote, talk with her. As such, Tara was sold, she was cursed, and she was made to eat a beetle and subjected to other humiliations. This is to be continued. An interesting read, and I can't wait to see where this goes. My thoughts and impressions on Flow #1 from Mad Cave Studios, priced at $4.99 and for mature readers. And finally, I had Dick Tracy #12, priced at $4.99 from Mad Cave Studios, written by Alex Segura and Michael Morici, art done by Geraldo Borges. In this one, the Summer Sisters continue to wreak havoc. Pat is still in the hospital, and Dick and Tess go to Germany to catch a spy. A lot of moving pieces, but nonetheless very intriguing and very violent. My thoughts and impressions on Dick Tracy #12 from Mad Cave Studios. And Prof, I will turn it to you. What other books did you read this past week or beyond?
All right. I read Conan, Scourge of the Serpent, #1 from Titan Comics, written by Jim Zub, art by Ivan Gill, colors by João Canola, and letters by Richard Starkings and Tyler Smith. So this story is broken up into 3 time periods. In the Thurian Age, Brule breaks into King Kull's rooms, and he takes the king into secret passages in his castle. They find dead guards everywhere, and they go into a hidden door and find the bedchamber of Kull's chief counselor named Tu, and the counselor is armed with a dagger. Brule kills the counselor, and he turns into a Stygian lizard guy. Uh-oh, Stygians are involved in this story. In the Hyborian Age, at the Temple of Callion Publico, Conan, the thief, breaks in to steal a jeweled goblet. He stumbles upon a swollen corpse of Killian and is interrupted by a sentry and is surrounded by guards who think he must have killed Killian. He said he was going to steal food, and no one believes him. In 1934, James Gordon, not Commissioner Gordon, this is another guy, this is in the Conan world, not the Batman world, he tells his friends about his wife who attacked him with a straight razor and injured his arm. She had been under a spell of some kind. Weird, she's been doing so well. She even recently got a ring as a belated wedding gift from Joseph Rolock. They see the wife and the ring won't come off. Now, there also seems to be echoes of another woman, topless, of course, with the same ring on. So the story being broken up into 3 ages was a little confusing at first and very difficult for me to kind of put together the plot for this, because definitely the scenes were intertwined and the presentation of the story was a little better than what I was able to do. But once I got into the flow of reading it, it was fine. I fell right into this. I'm understanding that these 3 stories are being told separately, but they're going to be connected by this ring and by this attacking by knives and stuff like that. I really love these Titan comic books written by Jim Zub. They really capture the vibe of the old-timey Conan books, and it's almost like they never ended. So that was Conan, Scourge of the Serpent, #1. And finally, I read I Hate Fairyland, #44 from Image Comics, written by Scotty Young, art by Derek Laufman, colors by Jean-Francois Bellieu, and letters by Nate Picos. A mushroom creature is searching fairyland for Gert. The creature is also a female samurai or a shroomerai and willing to murder anyone who doesn't give her information. She finds Gert at the park playing chess with a shark creature. Gert and the shark fight over the game, but before the shark can hurt Gert, its head gets cut off by the shroomerai. No one kills Gert but me. Why? We get the story where Gert killed the mushroom's parents, and the shroomerai trained for years to get revenge. The two fight, and Gert is about to kill the creature, but decides not to because she thinks they could be friends. Turns out the shroomerai likes that idea, and the two scamper off together. They fight too, but that's what friends are for. This issue had the typical bouncy, depraved violence this book is famous for. The eventual connection between Gert and the shroomerai was sudden, and to be honest, it really wasn't set up that well, but that's okay. It's fun enough. This book has a light and depraved spot on my pull list. It's a fun little confection that you just can't take too seriously. I don't think it's really at the peak of its glory days in the past, but it's still a really good time. So that is I Hate Fairyland, #44.
We here at the Professor Frenzy Show are proud to give some thank yous and shout outs. We'll start off with the mascot of our show, Robin at Robin031. Robin, we've been away for a while, so let me make up for some lost time. I think I owe you 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to give you 4 kisses.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Thank you, Robin. I love you. Thank you for your patience, sweetheart. And thank you for your being the inspiration. I love you very, very much. And at the time of this recording, you're a little under the weather, so I hope you feel better soon. Want to give a shout out to our friend Two Sleeps at Two Sleeps Music, and also want to give a shout out to Kara, aka Karasaurus Rex, who helps out with the Two Sleeps concert. What concert are you talking about? Well, our friend Two Sleeps puts out on a concert twice a week. You can catch it Sundays at 2:30 Central, 3:30 Eastern. How do you find it? Go to your computer, type in Two Sleeps Music Twitch TV in the search engine, click on the link. Once there, sign up. You'll get involved in an interactive chat, and you'll also get a link to a song list of well over 200 songs that Two Sleeps will play. Now, I mentioned that Robin was under the weather. Then, as of this recording on the last Two Sleeps show, Two Sleeps said, hey, I'm under the weather. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to take requests. I'm going to take the show a little short and just play some favorites. And if you thought he was sick, you couldn't tell by listening to the concert or watching Mikey play. It was a brilliant performance, but he had a nice intimate audience of all his cast of regulars there. And it was a marvelous, marvelous show. And the audience loved it, ate it all up. And I think he went even a little longer than I think most of the audience anticipated, because he was worried about his consecutive concert streak would come to an end. But he's a trooper. He performs. He went out there still under the weather. I hope by the time that Mikey Two Sleeps is hearing this, he feels a lot better. So thanks for putting on a great show. Really, really love it. This was a show that he did on Tuesday. Now, the Tuesday show you can catch at 8 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central. Concerts last typically an hour, but they tend to go a little longer based on the audience and the large list of requests that might happen. You never know what you might hear. You might hear some Foo Fighters, that's a favorite, Tom Petty, Neil Young, Johnny Cash. Wow, the list goes on. Different genres, different periods of music. You might hear some Monkees, you might hear some Stray Cats. It's a little bit of everything. Two Sleeps, Mikey's a talented musician. Music always puts a smile on my face. It boosts my mood. So please, please, please check out the Two Sleeps concert Monday and Tuesday, and a very, very affordable Patreon. It's our friend Two Sleeps at Two Sleeps Music. Catch it out on Twitch TV. Great. Hey, we were notified by our friend Randy that he has a new coloring book out on Amazon. Yeah, Randy does talented robotic sketches. He puts them on the socials. Randerlander's one on Twitter, the Frumpy Sketch Artist on Blue Sky. Please check it out, and I cannot wait to check out the new coloring book. Randy also does a podcast called Soundtrack Alley. That's where Randy looks to see how music enhances a film, along with the film's background and some trivia. I always look at a film in a different light after Randy's podcast, Soundtrack Alley. Please check it out. We also know that the Longbox Crusade feed has a group of guys sending goodwill packages to their fans. It's great stuff. Prof is going to be posting a picture. Please check it out. We really, really like it.
Yeah, definitely. That's all of their Patreon fans get occasional goodwill packages, and I totally appreciate it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I know that Clinton's a part of that group too. Clinton, stand by for your plug coming up in a little bit. And I also want to give a shout out to our friend Billy D. He's on the Magazines and Monsters podcast feed. And during the interim, Billy D reached out to me and he said, "Hey, Chris, your scheduling is a little off here with some of these chunky podcasts. What's going on here?" And I filled him in. He asked me to be a guest. I'm afraid I'm so sorry I didn't make it happen because I was juggling some things with respect to what I had going on. But I really wanted to reach out to Billy D and just give him a nice thank you and shout out, because he reached out to us during the hiatus and he wanted to say, well, hey, guess what? There's going to be some Brave and Bob coming up. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming out for the month of October because of Halloween. And boy, was he right. I caught a Brave and the Bob. And this is an episode with Terry, and they talked about none other than World's Finest number 244, a comic I didn't get back in the day because the dollar comics were not on the 7-Eleven spinner rack where I was. I would find it later, but I remember the Neil Adams cover, and I just loved the coverage. This was not a book I got until maybe about a year later after it came out, and to track it down. But when DC first came out with those 80-page dollar comics, that was something that was a tough putt. If you lived by an LCS, maybe you were lucky, but of all places, you couldn't get it at the 7-Eleven spinner rack. The closest place that I have it, where I was as a kid, was the Memphis airport, because they had the newsstand and they would sell, more. They didn't worry about price points and tiers and stuff like that. So yeah, the early dollar comics, a little tougher to find, but boy, they really had some great stories. Gorgeous Neil Adams covers with the World's Finest after a couple of issues there, and really stuff etched in my brain. I remember the cover of this one burned in my brain, and I love the discussion with Terry. And it was an issue, like I said, I didn't get when it first came out because they were so scarce, but I remember getting it at about a year to 2 years later after that, and just being mesmerized by just the format of the comic. Also want to mention, covered some Phantom Stranger comics, the later era of the Phantom Strange title with Jeremiah, and also looked at the movie Curse of the Werewolf with Scott, and I remember that one quite well.
Great one.
Yeah, pops up on Sven every now and then, and great discussion with Scott talking about Curse of the Werewolf. So thank you, Billy D. I really appreciate it, and thank you very much for just checking in, and I cannot thank you enough for just the exchange we had, and he wanted to make sure everything was all right, and shared about, hey, we got some stuff coming up, and I want you to know about it, so I'll be more than happy to give it a plug here. Again, Billy D, Magazines and Monsters is the feed where you can check out all those great stuff. Bronze Age horror movies, and The Brave and the Bob, talking about Bob Haney written comics written. Good stuff there. Please check it out. Thank you so much, Billy D. Got some comments while we were away. We heard from Cat Victory. And first up, Sweet Daddy Williams had a limited run on Good Times, but he was a very memorable character actor. Yeah, when we talked about Teddy Williams, good choice for that guy in that show. Thank you so much. Yeah, and we appreciate that.
Great one.
Cat Victory continues, pull over your big pink hog. I saw long enough to check out this memorable character on the Professor Frenzy show. Always with myself and Professor Frenzy. Thank you. Cat Victory again comes at us for favorite Twilight Zone episode featuring Julie Newmar. Was most appropriate name character in the Twilight Zone series. Yes, Miss Devlin. Miss Devlin, yes. And of late, I think of Cliffordville. Yeah, I saw what you did there, character. Thank you so much. Yeah, and also from Kat, the video, Whatever Happened to the Famous Monsters of Filmland. Okay. I don't know. I'll have to do some research and check that one out. Prof, do you have any idea yourself?
I think it's still out in some way. I didn't get a chance to watch the video he sent yet, but, to see what the issue is. But I'm looking forward to it. I always liked Famous Monsters. That was one of my favorite magazines.
Indeed.
Yeah, for sure.
And we'll move on with some likes and reposts from our friends. We heard from our friend Chris Hamby. Thank you so much. As per usual, DSA McCollins, can't thank you enough. Paralini Pie, thank you very much. Warlord Worlds, that would be our friends Darren and Ruth. Please check out their fine list of podcasts that they put out together, well-produced shows. David D.B. Andry, the talented writer, thank you so much. Magazines and Monsters, that's our friend Billy D. Clinton, that's our friend who does the podcast Coffee and Comics. And I want to be careful because he also does Fan Film Fridays, but that one you're going to find at the Longbox Crusade feed. And Coffee and Comics is Clinton on his own. And don't forget the Days of High Adventure podcast, where Clinton will look at the Sword and Sorcery comics. Coffee and Comics is where Clinton will look at a comic in about the time to take it down, a cup of coffee with a guest sometimes. And, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Power Hour. Before I forget, I want to make sure I got them all. Clinton, thank you very much. Bill Beer, talented co-host of the Bat Pod. Please check out that show. And R.T. Wilson. And I think that's everyone. If I overlooked you, I really, really regret it. So if I did, I want to make it up to you. Please let me know at BTO and Batbooks, or better still, let the professor himself know at Professor Frenzy. We'll be sure to mention you on the next show. Listeners, thank you so much for your continued support.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Professor Frenzy Show. You can find our podcast if you do an iTunes search for the Professor Frenzy Show.
Hey, we're on Facebook over the Professor Frenzy Show page. We're on Instagram at Professor Frenzy. We're now also on Amazon Music, and we are now also on YouTube. Just visit youtube.com/Professor Frenzy, all one word. We are now also on TikTok, so go to Professor Frenzy 2 to see our videos.
If you have an Android phone, the Professor Frenzy Show is part of the free network. Just swipe right on your homepage and look in the art section of the podcast lists. Whatever device you use, you can subscribe to our podcast feed by doing an iTunes search for Professor Frenzy.
Thank you for listening to the Professor Frenzy Show. Let us know on Twitter what you think about our show, and please help us get the word out to people that might like these kinds of comics.
Thanks to everyone for listening. We look forward to chatting more about comics next week. And please remember, pick up your pull.
Professor Frenzy. Professor Frenzy.
All original content of the Professor Frenzy Show is licensed under Creative Commons Attribution, No Derivatives 3.0 Unported License.
Professor Frenzy.
You are on the Frenzy Feed.